Macho Man, day 4, Breakfast with Bob, our Kona World Championship edition from beautiful Huggo's on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by HOKA Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, Precision Fuel and Hydration, Crush Your Race Nutrition, Deboer, Outrigger Kona Resort and Spa, stay longer, save more. And of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation, our next guest, 2-time Ironman 70.3 World Champion, 3-time Ironman World Champion. Give it up for Craig Alexander. Thousands in the audience today for our man down under. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing good, Bob. How are you doing?
I am spectacular. So when you come back here, they immediately put your race face on?
Not anymore. No race face for me these days, but it's, as you know, it's the best place to be this week. I mean, for endurance athletes, for triathletes, this week is just, it's like heaven, really.
It really is.
It's so good to come back. I mean, it feels like a big school reunion, catching up with people that, you know, you used to see more regularly when you were racing and now probably only see once or twice a year. But, yeah, looking forward to a great race. I mean, obviously, all the festivities and everything that goes on is just really building up to the main event, which is Saturday, and, you know, the Women's World Championship this year, which I think is going to be a real cracker of a race.
No question. One of the things that you said years ago that always impressed me, because a lot of times people come over here and they're people don't know who they are. Then they win or they do well, and they get freaked out by oh my God, I got to do media stuff. But it was one of those things where early on you were like, hey, if people didn't want me to be on the show, then I'm not doing right by my sponsors. I'm not doing right as a professional athlete. I schedule in all of those media things because it's important for me, for my sponsors, and it's sort of a tribute to my success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had good people around me too saying that, you know, you want to be in demand. That's as a young athlete coming up, you dream of having sponsors and, you know, telling your story before the race, having fans who follow your journey. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's gone to another level for the current generation, though, with social media and the scrutiny. And, you know, that's got its pros and its cons. I think it's, as a fan of the sport, I love it. You get to see behind the curtain what their preparation, what their training looks like, how they deal with the highs and lows. But, yeah, it's part of it. And, you know, I never shied away from it. I think, you know, again, coming here, particularly if you're one of the favourites, and I guess especially if you're a past champion, you know you're going to have a lot of media, a lot of attention on you, and it's a work week. So, and part of being a professional athlete, your job description is to represent your partners and to speak to the media and to preview the race.
I remember back in the day, and it must be interesting when you walk around here and there's Luke McKenzie and people that you guys were sleeping on air mattresses in Encinitas, figuring right by the train tracks, figuring, am I ever going to make a living at this sport? And we talk all the time, people from Australia, New Zealand. Back then, you had to come to the States, you had to go to Europe, and you can't do that for the weekend. You've got to commit. You're leaving your family. You're coming for 6 months or so, living out of a suitcase. Were there points where you wondered if you were going to make it?
Absolutely. There were thoughts that you would have every day. But you just have faith in the training and in the process. And, I mean, you know, at the start of my career, I could have never imagined that I would win the races that I eventually won. But, you know, I had a dream and I just wanted to get better at the sport. I love the sport. I had a passion for it. And, you know, when you're around like-minded people, we were living our dream as much as it sounds like it wasn't fun. They were the most fun times of your career.
Exactly.
I think, you know, and they're when we all get together, they're the times that we talk about and those experiences. And I think not only were they fun times, but I think it's integral to your development, particularly mentally as an athlete. It hardens you up a little bit.
Right.
And then if you're lucky enough to crack it, you just realise how lucky you are and almost feel spoilt that, you know, it's not as hard as it used to be. But, you know, I guess that's been hard fought for. But, yeah, no, those early days in the sport, I think, you know, you leave for an extended period of time. But to be honest, you were following trailblazers like McKeely and Welshie.
Right.
I think they inspired every young Australian triathlete because they'd sort of walked that path, and it gave us faith that we could do it as well.
So when I look at your career, you come over here in 07, and right away you get second place, and it's like, oh, okay, second place. And I remember you had a conversation with Dave Scott, and pretty happy with second place. And Dave, I think, said something like, "So what was your plan?" I says, "Well, my plan was to just be conservative." And Dave was sort of like, "What? What were you thinking about? Just go off the front."
Yeah, I mean, it's being a fan of the sport and having watched this race on television so many times. I was conservative when I first came here because I'd seen Paula melt down on the Leahy Drive, and I'd seen so many others. So I certainly didn't come in here with a swagger and think I'm going to be the one who does it differently, or it's, I knew how hard it was, but I think that's part of, you hear people talk about the apprenticeship or just learning about the race on the Big Island, and I had come here to train 12 months before for 2 weeks, which I think set me up well for that race in 07. But yeah, the race is the race. You can train as much as you like, and getting out there with all the big favourites who had raced here 5 or 7 times, and a lot of them had won here as well. It was, I don't want to say it was daunting or I was overawed, but I certainly had a lot of respect for those guys, and I had a lot of respect for just how tough this place can be. It's beautiful, but it's extreme. The conditions can be extreme. The race is extreme. So I certainly had more of a conservative, game plan in 07, and I had a great race, and I think I learned a lot from it, and I was able to take those things and bring them back 12 months later and go one better.
So you win in 08 and 09, and obviously once somebody wins, then people start going, okay, we got to make sure that Craig's not with us when we start. If he's anywhere near us at the beginning of the run, we're done. We got to get rid of him. And a group got together in 2010, Macca and Timo Brock and Norman and those guys, and like, attacking on a bike. We got to attack and make sure Craig's behind, and it worked. And then a real champion like yourself, you go to work and go, okay, what happened, and how do I win a different way? And so when the 2010 race was over, going to 2011, what'd you do?
Yeah, it was as much as it hurt at the time, it was one of the, best things that happened in my career, because I had stumbled upon a formula that worked well for me here. But I think if you're serious about being a high-performance athlete and you have that elite mindset, it's not just about winning. It's about performing up to what you think your potential might be. So, I guess that race in 2010 was the catalyst for me to make some changes. It was about the time in our sport where technology and innovation was coming in. 09, 2010, a lot of the super bikes were being launched. So I sort of reviewed everything. We put the slide rule over everything: equipment, training, and often you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make some tweaks. So I changed some of my equipment. I came back the following year with a different bike. I wore an aero helmet for the first time. I had a race suit that actually fit me a little better. And I just had a more of an aggressive mindset too. I thought, I'm not going to wait for any of the moves on the bike. I might make a few of my own.
Exactly.
Yeah, and as fate should have it in the race, had a great swim, came out, we did the loop through town, and Chris Lieto started putting a bit of pressure on as we were heading out towards the airport, and he sort of created a little separation off the front of the group, and I thought, oh, this is my cue to go as well. So I jumped across and ended up in a group of 4 athletes, and we just got away. And a lot of the main contenders, by the time we got to Harvey, were 4 or 5 minutes back, and about 7 or 8 by the time we got off the bike. So it was a very satisfying win because, being able to win the race a few different ways, I think shows versatility, and it was a very proud moment for me.
I bet you last year when you were watching Patrick Lange, who people were like, okay, he's got to win the race on the run, which means he just sort of has to hang out on the bike. And we saw him going up Polani like he was doing a criterium, right? He came out of the water 4th. They said that was a weakness. He's can't ride the bike, and he's passing people going up Polani, 10, 11 miles into the race, and he was up there all day long, and then he unleashed the run. I flashed back to you, to be honest, when I saw what he was doing, because champions win different ways.
Yeah, Patrick showed his intent going up Polani, didn't he? He was aggressive on the bike, and you never just win it in the run. You got to be strong in I guess, all areas of triathlon. We know that, but I think if you've got one really dominant discipline, people tend to think that's what you are. But it was an incredible race that Patrick had last year, and he didn't just. I mean, he was the only sub 240 marathon, so he ran a 237, which we would expect from Patrick. But like you say, he was in the top half dozen out of the swim and rode with that elite front group for the 112 miles.
Yeah,
you can't do more than that.
No. And so when people start saying you can't be a one-dimensional athlete, maybe way back in the day, but not anymore. If you're not at the front pack of the swim, you forget about it.
Yeah, and I mean, looking forward to the race this Saturday. I mean, all week,
yes,
I study the form guide and I look at who the favourites are. And I mean, I've really loved the sport this year, following the Ironman Pro Series and watching the athletes, schedule their season. And I mean, it all comes to a crescendo this Saturday for the women. And yeah, I think we've got one of the most competitive fields. And as I've been going down the list, thinking, well, who could win this? And that's always fraught with danger because, I mean, there's so many favourites, but none of the top ladies have a weakness.
None.
They're so strong across the board. So you just try and think, well, how could the race play out? Is Lucy going to go off the front? Taylor will be there as well. And then they're both strong bike riders. And then you've got
Laura running a 238, Kat's running a 240. Yeah.
And then you think of those women and the times they're running now, but you also think, well, Lucy's running well now too. She's been winning T100 races.
She's beating Olympians.
So yeah, so I think it's intriguing and it's setting up for a really special race this Saturday.
Well, and then someone like a Solveig, you got people who have been doing really, really well. We've probably interviewed 6 or 7 women, Marjolaine Pierre, who could be a factor. I wouldn't be surprised if they were top 5, even on the podium.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And in these 3 weeks ago, 2 guys who were considered Ironman World Championship rookies, Jonas Schomburg and Martin Van Riel, are incredibly experienced world-class athletes.
Yeah.
And, we see Solveig this year. I mean, it's her first Ironman World Championships, but she's been racing, at the highest level at different distances. So, yeah, these athletes, even if they're new to this distance, they're just extremely experienced, and I don't think they come here with any fear or trepidation.
No.
They just come here and they're ready to light it up.
I forget which athlete it was, but I was looking, and I had not met her before, and she had done 170 World Triathlon Series events, right? So she's been doing this sport since like 2011, and you're going, but they're brand new to us.
Yeah.
So they got the raw speed. They've been to multiple Olympic games. So the pressure is not something that concerns them in the least.
No, they have that sort of experience of dealing with high pressure situations, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of media attention. I mean, they're not new to that. So, yeah, I think it lends itself to. I mean, if we, this Saturday, I'm excited for. I mean, we say it each year, but I think this could be one of the best that we've seen, particularly on the women's side. I mean, we've only just lost a couple of legends in Danny and Annie Haug, but I think it's a very deep and talented field for this Saturday.
No question. And when we're interviewing a number of like Marjolaine is 25.
Yeah.
There's a number of these athletes who are 25, 27, then obviously mid-30s with 30s with Laura and Lucy and some of those athletes. So the future's pretty bright.
Yeah, men's and women's. I don't think we've had so much talent and depth at the top of the sport. So it's exciting as fans. We turn up to the races and, you're always going to get entertained.
So one of the races that the people probably don't know that much about, but I think it was one of your greatest performances, was Ironman Melbourne, the first time they had it. The Greg Welch Cup, he's a big hero of yours. You wanted to win that thing early in the season. I think it was a March race. Yep. You're coming off of winning 70.3 Worlds and Ironman World Championship 2011, so it's March 2012, early in the season. Probably thinking, Cam Brown's there, so it's going to be a hard race. Yeah. He's always ready in March to have a hard race.
Yeah, well, it was about the time that regional championships popped up. So you had the Asia Pac champs, which was Melbourne. You had the European champs and the North American champs. So you weren't just getting the really stacked fields in Kona. You would get them earlier in the season, and I think Freddie Van Leer came down to race. Marino Van Hunaka, Aniko Llanos. It was a great field. So yeah, but you mentioned Cam Brown. I mean, Ironman New Zealand, because of the famous weather bomb, it got shortened to a half 3 weeks.
Oh, that's
before.
right.
And so, we knew he would be in great shape, and it was just amazing to race in Australia as the reigning Ironman World Champion at a big race. And it ended up being, one of the, I guess, best race memories of my career. Yeah. There was a few of us going shoulder to shoulder in the run, huge crowd, and I certainly didn't have October or Kona fitness. I wasn't unfit, but yeah, no, Cam took me into very deep waters that day in the marathon, and it's still one of my, I think my greatest performances.
Yeah, well, you had to run 2:38 to win. He ran 2:40 and was right there.
Yeah, and I mean, Freddie Van Leeuwen was right on his heels,
Yep.
a 2:40 high, and Nico was 2:41, so it was, that was a fast competitive race, and I think as an athlete, looking back, they're the ones that you do remember.
Right, no question about it. So one other race that I think changed a lot of things for you was the Lifetime Fitness race in Minneapolis, because at that point, it was the women went off first, there was a factor, and then the men went off. And if you got the prize money for being the first woman, prize money for being the first guy, but there was like $250K for winning overall. That was the battle of the sexes. It was really cool, and that changed a lot of things for you, because now you could travel with your family. By winning that race, it sort of set you up pretty well. Yeah,
it was life-changing for sure. I mean, it was an invitation-only race. It was the best in the world at Olympic distance.
National television.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it was one of the first ever triathlons that was live on television as well, not a delayed telecast, so different dynamic. But yeah, it was, I mean, both Olympic champions at the time were in the race. It was just a stacked field, but it was a very unique format as well, because they had this equalizer.
That's right.
Formula where they looked at every Olympic distance race for the preceding 12 months, what the spread was between the male and female winner, the male top 10 and female top 10, and then they just would give the women a head start, and we'd have to stand on the beach as the clock counted down. And I think up to that point,
Barbara had won it.
Yeah, only the women had won. Barb Lindquist had won twice, and Loretta Harrop from Australia had won. So I was the lucky first guy to catch the ladies. Caught Emma Snowsill deep into the run. And Simon Whitfield, my good friend, got second that day. So it was very special. I mean, my eldest daughter Lucy was 8 weeks old, and you and I were talking before. She's now in college in the US running. But she was 8 weeks old, and I think, more than the money's important as a professional athlete, but just the validation you get from winning a race like that.
Absolutely.
And the confidence that you feel like, I do belong racing in this company with this sort of caliber of athletes, and the money didn't hurt either. I mean, it took a lot of pressure off. I started in the sport late, as I was partway through my physiotherapy degree, and I always wondered early in my career, should I be doing the sport or should I be working? All my friends my age had jobs and they were doing what you do, and so I wondered if it was crazy to be chasing this dream all around the world. And also financially, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, I thought, should I be setting us up financially? So you have all those thoughts as a young athlete, and I think winning a race like that really just took off a lot of pressure, and if anything, just the confidence you get from it as well. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's another. I think that may have been my greatest ever race. I think in terms of just a pure performance, swim, bike, and run. I mean, that day I was right at the front in the swim. I was on the front on the bike. I think only Craig Walton and maybe one other got off the bike in front of me, and just had an amazing run. So it's one of those days you have in your career, and you only have a couple where you just feel like you've got an extra gear or two if you need it.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it feels easy, but you just feel in total control. Like it doesn't often feel like that, but it did. That's how it felt for me that day. Love it.
Corey, I always appreciate your time, man. Have a great rest of your week. It's going to be fun to watch everybody else sweat and suffer.
Yes. And I can't wait to watch the women. They're going to put on a show for us, and it's fun when you're just on the other side of the fence.
I love that. Poncho Man, take us out.
Fine bread from a man in Brussels. Oh, he was 6'4" and full of muscle. Unprefaced with Bob.
Poncho Man, everybody.